Hello beautiful mamas, and welcome back to the channel or the episode. If you're listening here on the podcast, I am doing a double duty today, filming a video and recording an episode all at once because, you know, life's just been a little bit hectic and crazy, and sometimes you got to do double duty and kill two birds with one stone. So if you're new here, welcome. My name is Kait. We do mom life together, and I'm all about living a faithful, purposeful, intentional life. So if that interests you, I would love to have you subscribe and join us here. Hit that red button down below and the notification bell beside it. I have been blacklisted by YouTube because I have content about kids and because I talk about foster care and adoption, I believe, because there's a lot of people that talk about foster care and adoption that don't have their comments. I don't know when they're coming back. I hope they come back. But I am going to post this video on the community tab. So if you'd love to leave a comment or like to leave a comment, I would love if you would do that because I miss connecting with you guys. It's honestly kind of killed my drive for YouTube because I feel like I'm just talking to nobody, even though I know I get messages from you guys often that these videos are helpful and, you know, you appreciate the message that I'm putting out into the online space. It's just hard when you don't get direct feedback on YouTube when you are used to that. So I kind of dropped off in December. As you guys know, if you've been following, we adopted our daughter Rosie on December 9th, and we had about 2 weeks notice, a little less than 2 weeks notice. We were going to be able to adopt her. And after the adoption, I actually had like this huge emotional letdown, which I kind of want to talk about. Maybe I'll get into that a little bit later, where I was just emotional and crying. And I just feel like the emotions I've been holding in for 2.5 years of fostering her and then thinking we were able to adopt her and then thinking we weren't going to be able to adopt her and we were going to be losing her to then being able to adopt her, and it's still taking 10 months. It just did a little bit of an emotional toll on me, and I felt like, you know what, I just needed a time of rest. I took a break from YouTube. I had already planned on taking a break from the podcast over those 2 weeks. I like to get my podcast episodes out on Mondays, but sometimes they're not out till Wednesdays. But I'm working on that, and I want to be better for that in the new year for you guys, because I know you appreciate the consistency and regularity of the podcast. But today we're going to just be kicking it off the new year. I am a geek about the new year. I know you can start anytime to be, you know, to set goals and to live a more intentional life and to do the things that you want to do. But for whatever reason, you know, New Year's is just a fresh start. And there's so many of us that really resonate with that. And I am definitely one of them. I am not a winter person, and I live in Canada where it's cold and wintry 6 months of the year. Feels like 6 months of the year. Last night we got 4 inches of snow, and if you hear that, the snowplow actually just went by. So it's a really good time for me to just refocus because I love being outside in the summer, but I can't stand being outside in the winter. I feel like if you have money to do winter sports, that's one thing. But, you know, we have a big family and little family, so to ski and do that kind of stuff is hard with the current family situation we're in right now. But I'm a geek about the new year. Where am I going with this? And I just wanted to share with you guys something. So I have put this out for you guys. This is my 3rd year, maybe even my 4th year. But this is my 3rd year doing this life audit. So this was the first one, this was the second one, and then I am waiting for, actually, I got my own binding machine. The bindings I have are too big, so I'm waiting for some smaller ones to come in to do it myself this year. But this is the 3rd one, and I made it a little bit more detailed as far as what I did last year to kind of reverse engineer my goals. This is a completely free workbook. You can get it from my blog. I will leave the link in the description box as well as in the show notes if you're listening to this on the podcast. So this is the 2020 Goal Planner. It's a life audit and goal launcher. You really can't grow unless you measure things. Like, nothing can grow unless it's measured. You need to be able to track things. So I think starting off your goal setting with doing kind of a life audit is really helpful. And this is the workbook you will get. It explains kind of how to use it here on the first page. But the first page of actually working is habits and rituals. We're talking about current positive and current negative habits, action steps to change the negative habits, and if you made these changes, where would you be? So the biggest part of achieving your goals is daily habits. And if you can implement daily habits and keep doing them and keep going with it, you will see major change in the areas that you want to see. So that's why I kind of kick it off with the habit page. The next page is personality traits. There's positive ones on the left and negative ones on the right. And you take a highlighter and you simply highlight the ones that you think you have. In a different color, highlight the ones that you want to work on. So for me this year, I want to work on being more self-disciplined, accountable, punctual, collaborative, and consistent. So those are the 5 things I want to work on. I think 5 are a good area to aim at. And then just to identify your negative personality traits or, you know, behaviors, because when you identify them, you know, the first step is knowledge, and then you can change them. So for me, one of mine is compulsive and lack of self-control, and that mainly surrounds food, and I will talk about that in the next one. I'm an Enneagram 7. If any of you know, gluttony is our weak point, and it's been 8 years. My baby girl, my oldest daughter, sorry, I should say, is turning 8. So it's been 8 years that I've been overweight, and I've lost weight and gained weight and lost weight and gained weight. And this year is just really the year I want to make some serious changes. And I feel like if I put this out there to the world, that it's going to hold me accountable, because accountability is something that I also need in my life. I can hold myself accountable in so many areas, but weight loss is always a weak point for me, because I feel like I'm busy focusing on so many other things that I always put my health and my weight last. And, you know, this year in the social media world, there's been a lot of loss, and, you know, it's just kind of reminded me that we get one body and it's a gift, and I am healthy and that is a gift, and I need to steward that well and make sure I take the time to work out and to eat healthy and to meal plan and to do it consistently, because I do it in spurts and then I stop. I do it in spurts and then I stop. And I'm definitely an emotional eater. I struggle with that. But yeah, just being open and honest with you guys. I know it's a problem that many people struggle with, so I know it's not just me. So I think there's 6 main, oh, my battery's gonna die. I think there's 6 main dimensions of your life, and this next sheet has a little area to rate them out of 1 to 5. So spiritual, physical, emotional, and emotional meaning like mindset as well, like emotions and mind, relationships, finances, and career. So overall, you happy with these ratings, and to order them in what area you want to improve first. So for me, like I just said, it's going to be physical this year. In past years, it's been spiritual. I really wanted to work on growing in Christ and just strengthening my relationship with God. And I feel like I've really accomplished that in the last couple of years, where it comes second nature, where God's given me more of that desire. So this is the first year it's actually not first on my list. Physical is, because I'm just sick of feeling like I'm trapped in a body that's not mine. On the back of that, there's dive-in questions. So these are just questions to get you thinking about your life. Like, let me give you a couple examples. What have you gained in your life in the last 365 days? And what have you lost? What has played, who or what has played a major role in your life this last year? What demands your time? They're just reflection questions to get you thinking. Next, we have mindset questions. So some examples here. What are your biggest fears? How's your productivity? What's your current biggest challenge in your life, and why? And there's about 2, 3, 6, 9, there's about 11 or 12 questions on each page. The next is health and relational questions. So talking about your fitness and your health and your energy level and your relationships, and are you happy with the amount of time you see people? And do you feel like you're close to people? Do you feel like that's an area you need to improve? And then life on purpose. Who inspires you? Do you feel your life has purpose? What can you do to positively impact those closest to you? And such and such. Next, we get into the goal planning. So we take those 6 dimensions of your life, and this is just kind of like a brainstorm. Like, just write down every goal under those areas. So for spiritual, for example, never miss a day of Bible reading. I want to work on my memorization of verses this year, and I want to encourage others more, and I want to listen to the Bible more. I don't really listen to the Bible, but I want to do that maybe as I go to sleep, just to kind of ingrain some verses in my mind. So this is, write down as many goals as you can here, and then we're going to focus it down. Then at the bottom, there's 12 top goals that you want to work on. And I recommend 2 from each dimension, unless there's a dimension you're super happy with, you don't have a lot of goals, then maybe you can take some from other areas, but take 2 from each dimension, label them out from a few pages back where you wanted to start first. Start that as your number 1 goal. There's 12 months in a year, there's 12 goals. I really think you need to hone in and focus on one if you're going to see success, but I think only setting 1 goal is not enough, because some goals are going to be easier. Like my first goal is to lose 75 pounds, and that's nerve-wracking putting that out here, but it's a big goal of mine. And again, I want the accountability. And then like my number 12 goal is be more intentional about nurturing friendships. So that's an easier goal. Some goals are huge, are going to take a lot more time and focus and energy, and some goals are a lot smaller. Next, we have the reach for the moon page. So what is your aid? I call it your almost impossible dream. And I have one, and it's coming true this year, I feel like, but I'm not quite ready to share it yet. I wrote a blog post, and I know I hate to be vague, and I've mentioned it a couple times before, but I hope to be able to share it with you in the next few months. What are the top three things you want in life and why? Attaching whys to your wants or in your dreams and your goals are super important. What will achieving these goals do or mean? What are the potential roadblocks? Identifying roadblocks and challenges is half the battle to getting to your goals. What needs to go? Like, what do you need to leave behind in order to move forward with these goals? What are some new habits you can add? What attitude or behavior can you improve? And then action steps. Now, I leave action steps blank on this page first because we go into action plans on the next page. So the next, you have 3 pages of action plans for your 12 goals. So your result or your goal is in your middle. So for example, 1 book a month is one of my results or goals this year. So you write that in, write your purpose, why. So for me, that's to increase in knowledge, strengthen my mindset. And then you write an action plan. So how are you going to actually implement? So there's 5 main steps in each. But it gets even better. We reverse engineer. I have reverse engineer pages, so there's 12 sheets of this. You write your goal at the finish, and then you do your very first step. So think of today, if I want to lose 75 pounds, what is my very first step? And that is to make a plan. Down here, you have a chart. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm going to put this in. Just go to the blog post and print it off so you can see it. But we have what your goal is, your next action, give it a deadline. Who, is there anybody else other than you that needs to help, you know, with business or financial or relational? Other people will be in there for losing weight. Obviously, it's really just me, unless I was going to get a trainer or something like that. But resources, what are the resources you need, the challenges, and the results? So write down all of the steps or the next actions that you need to take in this little chart here, and then just hone them in and make yourself a little roadmap on the top. So there's 12 of these to reverse engineer your goals. And then the final page here is something that I take some time to pray over. Word of the year, verse of the year, and I'm leaving behind. So I'll share mine with you. The word of the year this year is freedom. I felt like I was under the Children's Aid Society's thumb last year, not being able to travel with our daughter, just, you know, wanting to do so many things and kind of being stuck in the system with our adoption taking so long. And now that she's adopted, I just feel like we've been climbing this mountaintop and we're at the top. And I just feel like this year is going to bring freedom. Verse of the year this year is Hebrews 10:24, and let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds. And again, this goes back to one of my spiritual goals about being more encouraging to others. I want my life to reflect Christ, and I want people to look at me and say, I want to know about God because of how she is and what she's doing and how she's helping people, how she's serving. I don't want to live a selfish life. Yes, I have goals and dreams that are more selfish, like losing 75 pounds so that I can feel healthier and have more energy, be a better role model for my kids. But I have some major kingdom-driven dreams as well. And I just want my life to reflect that. We are not saved by the works that we do, but I believe if you're a true Christ follower, the works that you do should reflect that. That makes sense. And this year I'm leaving behind being overweight. I'm leaving behind selfishness. I'm leaving behind debt because we're selling our house and paying off our mortgage. And I'm leaving behind excuses. So I'm not going to share everything with you, but just getting a little bit personal to hopefully encourage you to really set some big goals and dreams for yourself. Definitely go get the workbook. I think it's really helpful. Like I said, I've been doing this is 4 years. I don't think I printed out the first year, or I don't have it anymore, but I love to keep these little workbooks. So it's even more honed in and focused this year. It was a little bit more vague last year if you did download it. I know there was quite a few people that did download it. And I used to kind of do it separately, you know, reflections and priorities and resolutions, blah, blah, blah. But I've just streamlined it and made it a lot more impactful as I've learned about setting and achieving goals. I would say this is something I've really been focusing on for the past 5 years of my life. Because I think before kids, it's easy to just let life happen to you unless you're super like, you know, an Enneagram 3 and you're super career focused or something like that. But I think once you have kids, it's so easy to forget about yourself and to forget about your goals and your dreams and not be able to work towards them. So setting that intention is so, so important. So take this, I wanted to get this video out for you guys before the new year, but if you haven't done anything like this yet, definitely go get this workbook. I think it's a really super helpful tool for you guys. And I love having them to look back on and see how I've actually accomplished dreams and goals. And, you know, there's several, some are more personal that I'm not going to share, but there's several that I have really accomplish. But remember, make 12, but really focus on one. Try and set one per month. 30 days, they say, to create a habit, 21 days, 60 days. I don't know exactly what it is, but I think if you can either leave something behind for 30 days, cut something out, whether it's food or social media, if you're struggling with that, whatever it may be, 30 days can make a huge change towards habits and progressing with goals. Definitely focus on one at a time. If you are, trying to be, each goal has little action steps that are really mini goals in itself. So if you're trying to achieve your 12 bigger goals and all those mini goals, it just gets overwhelming. You're either going to give up, just not do it, whatever. Focus on one at a time. That's why just numbering them and labeling them and making your plan is so important to have a successful new year. 2020, it's a new decade. I'm excited for it. I wanted to share a couple more things. How long is this video? It's getting long. Okay. I wanted to share a couple more things with you guys. So if your goal is, and tell me if you would like to share some of your goals, again, on the community tab, I'll leave this video linked. Head over there and let me know what your goals are. I would love to, help you and encourage you if I can. But if your goal is to be more intentional with your time with God, which I know is a goal for a lot of women that follow me here on YouTube and on the podcast and whatnot, I've created this Faithful Motherhood spiritual study and prayer journal. It is thick, guys, but that's because there is a journaling day for every day. So if you are somebody who doesn't have a lot of time, and I shouldn't say doesn't have a lot of time, because where your priorities are, that's where your heart lies. But I know life is busy and crazy with kids, but if you're not somebody who writes regularly or journals, this may seem a little overwhelming to you. But if you really want to be intentional, this you can get on Amazon. I've chosen to bind it this way so that you can keep it nicely on a bookshelf and look back year through year. I try to be minimalist as much as I can, and I don't like keeping tiny, small journals, so I'd rather have a large one that fits nicely on my bookshelf that I can keep and go back and look through year and year. I have a video coming. It'll probably be the next video that explains this in detail, but I'll leave the link down below. You can check it out on Amazon. So basically there's 3 sections in the book: Bible study, and I've shared in my How I Study the Bible video, which doesn't have a lot of views, but I actually got so many comments and requests about more information about that. There's my Power Bible Study Guide that I've created in here. It's just kind of an inductive method, kind of just like what helps me, because I think prayer and, opening and meditating is so important, examining, reflection. So it's Power Bible Study Guide that I've created in here. There's a place for sermon notes. I don't take this with me to church because our church gives out short little notes, and it's also on our phone. But I like to, usually the Monday or the Tuesday, kind of reflect on the sermon, dive in a little bit deeper. I think you probably go to a church that you trust, and that's why you're there, and I do, and I trust the leadership there and the information that I am being given. But it is our job as Christ followers to go back and make sure that things are correct and what you're listening to is correct. And if you're at a new church especially, there's also theme studies and people studies, which I think is so important. Just studying like the life of Moses or the life of Abraham, and just kind of getting a chronological order of their life, as well as scribing the scriptures. Sometimes I don't have the time to do a super in-depth Bible study, but just writing out verses really helps, and that helps with memorization as well, which I mentioned is one of my goals this year. But the biggest chunk of this book is this morning thoughts pages. Having a gratitude practice has really changed my life as far as my perspective and the way I see things, and you become what your thoughts are. And if you focus on the negative all of the time and the hard things in your life, you're going to attract more of that into your life. And I think just having a gratitude check every day is so important. So a little over half the page, I'd say 2/3 of the page, is for your morning thoughts. What's going well? What can God help you overcome? Goals and dreams, things to accomplish, people to connect with. I just like to write this out every single day. And then there's a gratitude check at the bottom. In the back, there is a in-depth area for prayer. And sometimes, especially if you're newer in your Christian walk, you don't really know how to pray or who to pray for. So this really just breaks it down. So first we start off with praise and worship. Then we start off with prayers of repentance. Then we have this is how I fight my battle sheet. And again, there's another video coming that's way more in depth, but it's prayers as a mother, prayers as a wife, prayers for your children, prayers for your husband, prayers for church leaders, prayers for missionaries and ministries. You can decorate this, get creative with this, put pictures in it. I have pictures of my kids in it. I had an older version, what I had in a disc journal, which I'll probably still keep, but it's just going to get big and bulky and out of control, I think. So that's why I designed this more binded version of it. I've got pictures and all sorts of things in there. So get creative, however you process and pray best, write out songs, whatever it is. There's literally a place for everything. And the people that have bought this so far have really enjoyed, like, I'm worried that it's gonna be overwhelming and too much for people, but the people that have purchased it so far are like, I love how it covers everything. And that's exactly what I wanted it to be, because I don't want a ton of tiny little prayer notebooks. As somebody who tries to be a minimalist, I don't want like tons and tons of journals that I have to keep over the years. So I like something larger that can kind of contain all of that. And this is designed to be worked through in a year. So if you do something every single day, this will be completed in a year. Another thing I wanted to mention was this. I just got this, the Prayer Journal for Women. It's by Shannon Roberts. And if this seems like something overwhelming for you, I think this is a really good resource for you. I'll link it on my blog in the Bible study and resource notes. Just got it off Amazon. I think it was like $12 or $14 Canadian, so probably less American, but it is short and sweet. So it starts with a verse and a reflection page, and then it just has there's 7 little spots, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So you write the week, whatever it is. Here's your thank yous. Teach me, Lord. Guide me, Lord. Highlights of the week, prayer requests, and things on my heart. So if you are newer to the faith and you just feel like you don't even know what to do with something like this, I think that this prayer journal is a really nice place to start. So I'm going to work on this one in the morning and this one in the evenings, but I just thought I would mention this to you. To cap this all off, I just wanted to let you know I was going to make a more personal video of like a reflection of 2019 and our hopes and dreams for 2020, because it is going to be a really big year and I'm just really excited about it. But I decided to write it all out in a post. It's a really long post, so if you're not a reader, it might not be your thing. I want to know a little bit more personally as far as like how I felt through our fostering to adopt process, and things that happened last year and things that are coming up this year. My word for last year, all of that. I share all about that in a blog post, so I will leave that link down below as well. But I want to know what videos you guys want to see this year and how I can help you and how I can encourage you and how I can be of service to you. I am still fostering. I talk a little bit why I don't talk about that here on the channel really anymore as far as our personal story fostering. We do still have a little boy that's been with us since September, and that's all I'm going to say about his case, and I explain more about that and why in that blog post. But we will be continuing to foster to see where this little guy ends up. And then we will be taking a break and selling our house. But yeah, some exciting things coming, and you know, that's all I'm really going to say right now. The battery on this is about to die and I feel like this video is long enough, so I'm going to end it here. Go get that workbook for sure. I'm working on a quick start guide for my blog just to kind of help people with just kind of the way I've changed to live a more godly life. I really want to live my life to honor the Lord, and that is my main priority, my main focus, as well as loving my family well and serving others around me well. But yeah, I'm working on a little guide to help others because I know we live in this world of distraction and the enemy's messaging, and you know, we are not enough, and our bodies have to be perfect and our houses have to be perfect, and being a mom is just so hard, and we need to drown every day with a glass of wine or a bottle of wine. Like, I just don't subscribe to that. I think those are lies from the enemy. I honestly feel like mothers are getting their joy taken from them, and I'm passionate about you living an abundant, rich, beautiful life that God has for you. Doesn't mean life is going to be easy, certainly not, but life is meant to be full of peace and joy and abundance and learning lessons along the way through hard things. That's all a part of it. Anyways, if you watched to here, thank you guys. I appreciate you so much. I'm excited for the new year. Like I said, a more in-depth study is coming on how to use my new spiritual study and prayer journal. And don't forget to go over to the community tab to leave a comment, because you can leave comments there. Subscribe if you're new. I would love to have you here, and like this video if you liked it. It helps other like-minded mamas to find my channel, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye.
I wish you could see yourself just sitting there